Ghost by Jason Reynolds, Chapter 2, Part 2. Coach Turtleface noticed me and called out, "Kid, what are you doing? Tryouts were last week." I didn't say nothing, and the coach followed up with, "This is a private practice." I still didn't respond and just started scrunching the sleeves of my t-shirt up to my shoulders. "Did you hear me?" the coach now asked, a little louder this time. He started walking towards me. The other kids were looking at me like most kids did, like I was something else, like I wasn't one of them, but whatever. "Do you not understand what private means?" the coach jeered. I thought a funny comeback, but I kept it to myself. "Yeah, man, the track is for runners, not people who want to pretend like they're runners," Lou jabbed, now standing straight. He looked me up and down, then flashed an arrogant grin. "Just blow the whistle," I finally called back to the coach. He stopped in his tracks and glared. Then he looked at Lou before continuing in my direction. He pointed his clipboard at me. "Listen, you get one run, hear me? After this, I don't want to see you around here no more," he threatened. "This is serious business. You understand?" I gave him the whatever face and nodded. He pointed his stupid clipboard at me again like I was scared of that. Please. Then as the coach headed back to the finish line, Lou shook his head at me and growled, "Hope you're ready to get smoked." This time I said it, whatever, and gave him my best ice grill to make sure he knew he didn't scare me. And he didn't. We were just running, not fighting, so why should I be frightened of some milk-faced running boy? Now back at the other end of the track, the coach yelled out, "On your mark!" Lou dropped down on all fours again. I just put my right foot forward. "Get set!" Lou put his butt in the air. I leaned in. Then, "Badeep!" I wish I could tell you what I was thinking, but I can't. I probably wasn't thinking nothing. Just moving. Man, were my legs going. I pumped and pushed, my ankles loose and wobbly in my sneakers, my jeans stiff and hot, the whole time seeing Lou out the corner of my eye like a white blur. And then it was over, and everybody watching, all the other runners, clapped and hooted, pointing at both of us. Some had their mouths open. Others just looked confused. The lady on the other side of the track, not a peep. But all the people around her were standing and cheering. Lou walked in circles with his hand on his head, trying to catch his breath, panting, wheezing out, "Who won? Who won, coach?" "I don't know, son. It was pretty close." The coach said it like the words were sour in his mouth. I walked back over to my bench, grabbed my backpack, and to keep my part of the deal, headed out. I made my point, and it wasn't like I wanted to be part of their little club. I just needed everybody to know that the fancy white black boy wasn't all that. "Kid!" I could hear the coach's footsteps coming behind me. I was still trying to get my heart to stop tripping and my lungs to start working again. "Kid, wait!" "Wait," he said, running up beside me. He was wearing those sweatpants, the swishy kind that make every step sound like paper crumpling. "Who you run for?" he asked. What? Who do I run for? What kind of question was that? "I run for me. Who else?" I replied. I stopped walking. "No, I mean, what team?" "No team." "I see." He glanced over at the track. So then who trained you? Someone had to train you to be so fast." "Nobody. I just know how to run." "You know how to run," he repeated under his breath, followed up by, Yeah, you do. Also breath talk. "Look, I don't know you. What's your name?" "Castle Cranshaw," I said, then quickly clarified. "But everybody calls me Ghost." By everybody, I meant nobody except me. That was my self-given nickname. Well, halfway self-given. That night, me and Ma busted into Mr. Charles's store. Mr. Charles looked at us like he was looking at two ghosts, like he didn't recognize us, probably because of how scared we both must have looked. So I just started calling myself that. Plus, it wasn't the only time someone had looked at me that way. As a matter of fact, this man, the coach, was looking at me exactly the same way Mr. Charles did that night, stunned. And I couldn't tell if it was because of my real name as Castle or because of my nickname. "Okay, Ghost. I'm Coach Brody." We did a proper handshake. "Listen, like I said, I don't know you, obviously, but I know you got something special. At least I think you do. So, you want to join the Defenders and run with us?" I didn't even think about it. "Nope." Just like that. "Nope?" Judging by the look on Coach's face, I could tell nobody ever said nope, no to running on his team ever. "What do you mean, nope? Why not?" All the other runners on the track were cracking jokes and playing around. Everybody but Lou. He was back on the line, down on his knees like he was getting ready to take off again. "Because my sport is basketball." You play ball? Yes, like he didn't believe it. Like I didn't look like I could hoop. Yep. For who? Why you keep asking me who I do things for? I snapped, mainly because I didn't play ball for nobody. Not yet, at least, but I'm still in my plans. Plus, who was he to be all in my business anyway? I didn't even know him, and he didn't know me. Look, even if I wanted to join your team, I continued, I would have to ask my mother first, and she's probably going to say no, so let me ask her, he cut in. Why you care? It's just running, I said. Is that what you think? Coach narrowed his eyes. This is just running? Yeah. I mean, what else is there? Ready, set, go, run, the end, I said, like a robot. Coach let out a hearty laugh, that kind that sounds fake. Nobody really laughs that hard and that loud without bending over like it hurts. We'll get to that, Coach said, cutting his laugh off instantly. Like I said, fake. For now, let's focus on the task at hand. If your mum says it's cool, we join. Man, I told you, I play ball. Coach sized me up, biting down on his bottom lip. Okay, I'll tell you what. Basketball's your sport. Cool. But if you want to be a better player, join this team and you'll be faster and stronger than anyone on the court. Matter of fact, your legs will be so strong you'll be dunking on people by next year. You think I'm stupid? I looked at him sideways. Ain't no way I could be dunking in a year. I never heard of no 8th graders that can dunk. Depends on what you say next. You are, if you don't let me ask your mum about joining. Coach was looking at me like he was dead serious, like he really thought running could help my hops and get me dunking by next year, which if that did happen, I would go straight down to the court with Sicko and them and demand to play. I kept checking his face for a sign he was lying, a sign that would have been easy to see because he didn't have any hair to disguise it. But there was no sign, no lie. Man, I'm telling you, she ain't gonna say yes. Good enough, Coach nodded, a sure smirk on his face. Practice is almost over. Might as well stay, and then I'll drop you off at home. I'll talk to her then. Cool? Not cool, not really. I mean, track? And who was this man? I've seen those weird shows where psychos pose like coaches and stuff and get you caught up, and the next thing you know, my mother's in jail too for handling this dude. I didn't trust him. But on the other hand, I really didn't have anything else to do or nowhere else to be, so I figured it was worth scoping him out and seeing how he acted around all the other kids and their parents. I mean, I could always use the ride home, but I ain't no fool. After practice was done, everybody met up with people waiting for them, family and friends or whatever. Coach spent a lot of time talking to all the mums and dads, mostly mums, especially of the vets. They all acted like they really, really knew each other, like family, hugs and all that. And that made me feel a little bit better about him because mums don't trust nobody around their kids, so I agreed on the ride. Coach and I walked to his car, which was I was surprised to see was a cab. You stole a cab? I asked, while he cleaned a bunch of stuff off the seat. Food bags, shoes, water bottles, sports drinks. The front of the car was a mess. He threw everything in the back. No, Coach said, brushing crumbs off the floor so I could finally get in. What makes you think that? Because you're a coach, I said, holding my backpack in my lap. So how'd you get one? I coach because I love it, but it don't pay the rent. Being a cab driver does. He started the car. Then why would you love coaching? Seems like if being a cabbie gets you paid, that's what you should love, I explained. What seemed obvious, looking out the window. Coach backed out of the parking space. Wait, I said. You're not going to make me pay for this ride home, are you? Because if you are, you can just let me out and I can walk. Why would I make? Coach started, then stopped. Then he sighed. Just tell me where you live. Where I live. When anybody asks about where I live, I get weird because people always treat you funny when they find out you stay in a certain kind of neighborhood. But I was used to people treating me funny. When your clothes are 2 sizes too big and you got on no-name sneakers and your mother cuts your hair and it looks like your mother cuts your hair, you get used to people treating you funny. So what's one more person? Glass Manor, I said. You know where that's at? Coach didn't blink. Yeah, I know where that is. We didn't really say too much in the car, just zipped from one side of the neighborhood to the other, from the good side to the other side. It was my first time ever in a cab. I was used to walking everywhere unless I was going somewhere with my mum. Then it was on the bus. Coach talked on the phone most of the trip, judging by what he was saying, what time he'd be home, checking to see if someone named Tyrone had eaten yet, Asking what was for dinner made me think he was talking to his wife. I wondered what she looked like. Probably not too hot, since she married a man who looked like a chip-toothed turtle. Coach was saying something about gym shoes to the maybe wife on the phone when I noticed a woman walking in white scrubs, white sneakers, carrying a black leather purse big enough to fit the whole world in it, and her hair was cut like a boy's. I tapped Coach on the arm and told him to pull the cab over. "Hold on," he said to the person on the phone. Then to me, "What?" "Pull over," I repeated. "That's my mother." Coach pulled it to the side of the street and I rolled down the window. "Ma," I called out, waving to her. She looked at me, then looked again, trying to make sure I was who she thought I was. "Kaz," she said, approaching the cab. "What are you doing in a cab? Matter of fact, what are you doing in the front seat of a cab? No, answer the first question. What are you doing in a cab?" "Hop in," I said. "No, you hop out," she replied. "Ma." "Ma'am," Coach leaned over so as she could see him. "It's fine, hop in. I'm just giving you a ride home." Then he added, "On the house." Coach swiped everything on the back seat to one side as I reached back and opened the door. My mother stood outside the car for what seemed like minutes before deciding to climb in. And even after she did, she kept the door open, one foot still on the sidewalk, so she could jump back out if she needed to. Her bag, which I knew was full of styrofoam containers of chicken and gravy or whatever gross but free meal we were going to be having for dinner, crunched on the seat beside her as she finally pulled her leg in and closed the door. "How was work?" I asked as Coach pulled back into the street. "Kaz, don't how was work me. Why are you in a cab? And excuse me, sir, no offense, but who are you?" she asked. "Told you mums don't trust nobody around their kids." Coach adjusted the rearview mirror so as he could see my mother in the back. "I'm Coach Brody, but everybody calls me Coach. I run the Defenders, city track team." "Uh-huh, and?" "And your son came and sat in on my practice today." Coach threw a quick glance at me. "Did you know he can run?" Did I know he could run? She was sitting directly behind me, but I could feel the heat of her eyes burning through the headrest, scorching the back of my neck. "Yeah, he can run, like really run." My mother just sort of grunted. I knew better than to say anything or to even turn around and look back at her. I just said to Coach, "Make this left," when we got close to my street. Coach made the left and continued, and I think he's got potential. With the proper coaching, he could be a serious problem. I felt like I'd seen this in every single sports movie I'd ever watched. All of them. "Ma'am, your son has potential." If this went like the movies, I was either going to score the game-winning touchdown, which is impossible in track, or die. "Sir, I appreciate that, but let me tell you something. Kaz already is a serious problem," my mum explained. "And right now he needs to focus on school, not sports." "Right here," I murmured to let Coach know where to stop and let us out. I figured there was no reason to drag the conversation out. It went exactly like I thought it would, so I wasn't really even mad about it. He cut his blinker on, pulled over and put the car in park. "Listen," Coach turned around to look at my brother in the face. "I totally get that, but what if I made you a deal?" he went on. "If he messes up in school one time, he's off the team." "One time?" I squawked. "One time." Coach held his hand out to my mother. I kept my eyes forward until I heard her exhale the breath of a long day. "You're going to get him home every day?" she asked. "Yes." "What about his homework?" "It'll be done." You sounded pretty confident for not even knowing me like that. Coach gave us both one of his cards. I put mine in my backpack while Ma gazed at hers, making sure everything was legit. Then she let out another big sigh, this time probably the breath of a worried mom. "Well, at least I'll know where he'll be after school." She gave in. And that was it, just like that. For the first time in my whole life, I was on a team.